Grange has the shape of a massive circular mound dating back about 5,000 years, older than the Egyptian pyramids. This archaeological site was discovered in the 17th century, but excavation only began 300 years later. During research, archaeologists found an inner chamber that served as a burial or sacrificial site for ancient island people. Remarkably, at dawn on the winter solstice, they observed an extremely strange astronomical phenomenon at this site. A beam of light enters through the roof opening all the way to the innermost part and illuminates the entire room. Local people here believe it is the doorway to the world of fairies and supernatural beings. Moreover, this is also the burial place of a man with an extremely unusual background, not only for local people but for all humanity. In 1993, UNESCO recognized New Grange as a World Cultural Heritage Site. It can be said that New Grange Cemetery Mound is one of the most impressive prehistoric monuments in Europe. It can be compared to Stonehenge and Göbekli Tepe Temple. Built very long ago, around 3200 BC, this place was once the burial site for the kings of the Terra dynasty. In 1699, a local landowner named Atrash Campbell ordered his workers to remove stones from a massive circular mound to build a road. This work accidentally helped them discover the entrance to a dark corridor 18 meters long with walls made of massive stones. It leads to a burial chamber with a corbelled roof rising straight up like a chimney. Welsh archaeologist Edward Rich examined the burial chambers not long after. He believed it was a burial or sacrificial site for the ancient island people. Due to the rich forms of stone carvings, especially the spiral motifs, symbols of the same theme in chamber art, and 3 secret stone niches containing stone basins or baths. The large stones were polished smooth, arranged with extremely strange precision. How this work was done remains a mystery to this day. To build New Grange, they had to mobilize the labor of a very large number of workers. The pollen on the burial chamber indicates that this place was once surrounded by forest, meaning people had to clear part of that forest to build the foundation. Perhaps, the burial chamber and corridor were the first areas built with massive stone slabs, then surrounded by carved flat stones. And then 35 standing stones arranged around the flat stones to form a large circle. The foundation stones were arranged inside to create a perfect oval shape. The entrance to New Grange precisely faces the sunrise on the winter solstice. At that time, a beam of light through a window right in front of the entrance shines in a truly magical way. From December 9th to December 23rd, sunlight shines into the inner room and illuminates brilliantly. However, this phenomenon only lasts for about 17 minutes. In 1926, Michael O'Kelly also carefully restored this site and demonstrated very clear astronomical alignment. At dawn on the winter solstice, a pencil-thin beam of light enters through the roof and illuminates the entire chamber very impressively, with similar alignments discovered at 2 nearby hills. This phenomenon, along with research by modern archaeologists, explains why New Grange is considered the world's oldest astronomical observatory. It was used as a solar observatory. Therefore, many other local legends consider the New Grange archaeological site to be the temple of the sun god. This legend tells of an elaborate tomb at the Brunaborne Stone Cemetery north of Dublin, where the winter dawn shines a brilliant light deep inside to the stone niche, where a special person is buried. According to it, the king tried to build a high tower near Doubt, about 1.6 kilometers from Newgrange, in just one day with the magic of his sister. She made the sun not set until the tower was completed, but the king broke the spell because he committed incest with his sister. Perhaps that's why this place is also called the Hill of Sin or the Hill of Incest. Returning to Newgrange, through recent studies in the deepest room inside the tomb, fragments of a man who lived in the Neolithic period, about 5,000 years ago, coinciding with the tomb's construction time, were discovered. The island at that time was under the rule of a glorious dynasty but had a tradition of close kin marriage. Probably to separate themselves from common people, like the pharaohs of ancient Egypt and some Inca royalty in Central America. Researchers tested the genetic material of 42 other people buried in the island's Stone Age sites, dating from about 5,800 to 4,500 years ago, and 2 people from the Middle Stone Age dating from about 6,100 to 6,700 years. They discovered among them one person buried in the most elaborately decorated stone niche of the Newgrange tomb series, one of the earliest Stone Age monuments in Europe. This was an adult man whose parents were initially determined to be first-degree relatives, meaning they could be siblings or parent-child, although this is extremely rare throughout human history. Lead author of the study, geneticist Rarick Cassidy from Dublin University, said each of us inherits one set of genes from our mother and one from our father.
The research team compared these 2 gene sets in the bones of the aforementioned man. Essentially, the 2 gene sets were extremely similar.
When researchers calculated the inbreeding coefficient based on the amount of DNA
that both parents shared, they found those 2 gene sets were 25% identical.
This is a sign of mating between first-degree relatives, who share 50% of DNA. Geneticist Cassidy said this result more firmly confirms the origin of the strange man buried here.
Incestuous marriage between siblings is essentially a universal taboo in the human world, both for cultural and biological reasons.
The only social acceptance was among elite classes, typically in royal families considered divine, such as Egyptian pharaohs. This is how those who considered themselves noble applied to separate themselves from common people. They broke the taboo, broke the social customs that others had to follow. As a result, marriages between siblings were limited to royal families considered divine. However, despite the elaborate burial of the man in Newgrange tomb and the social acceptance of his parents' union, we have not detected any traces of similar marital relationships anywhere else in Ireland's Stone Age sites. The study of ancient Irish genomes also revealed that the man buried at the Newgrange tomb complex was distantly related to the man buried in the Stone Age tomb at Carrowmore, Hathligo, about 140 kilometers west of Newgrange.
Those buried in these 2 tombs are more closely related to each other than to others in the same population. At the same time, bone analysis also showed they ate more meat than their contemporaries. It appears this was a kinship group receiving burial rites reserved for the noble class. This custom was practiced in many other places in Ireland for centuries.
Researchers also compared similarities and differences between Neolithic residents in Ireland and earlier indigenous groups, through the 2 mentioned Middle Neolithic skeletons. The research results confirm the view that Ireland was inhabited by Neolithic landowners about 5,800 years ago.
These people came from the Iberian Peninsula and took over the land of indigenous people who specialized in marine hunting. However, one person from the Neolithic period in Western Ireland carried genes of the indigenous marine hunters. This shows that the indigenous people were assimilated rather than...
Researchers also found genetic evidence of the first case of Down syndrome. This was a newborn boy buried in the Polarbrin tomb in Hartclare dating back over 5,500 years. Chemical isotope analysis showed this baby was breastfed and buried with elaborate rituals, possibly being a member of a noble family. Many new discoveries through the tombs, New Grange Tomb Complex, and other nearby areas had not yet been clearly published.
Perhaps when everything becomes clear, we will find important clues about human origins. Therefore, don't forget to watch the latest videos every Wednesday and Saturday on the Ancient World channel. Thank you and see you again. Subscribe to the D&Nero channel so you don't miss exciting videos.